Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a book that's, well, legendary. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. We're going to break down its timeless wisdom into 3 super powerful keys you can start using, like right now, to totally transform your relationships.
Okay, so let's start with a really interesting paradox Carnegie noticed. He taught a ton of engineers, over 1,500 of them, and he realized something kind of shocking. The people getting paid the most weren't necessarily the ones with the best technical skills. Nope, the real money went to those who mastered what he called human engineering, basically the skill of leading and getting people excited.
So that begs the question, right? If just being a genius at your job isn't the key to the kingdom, then what is? What's that secret ingredient? And the answer he found is that it's not about what you know, it's all about how you deal with people. He spent years digging into the lives of great leaders, everyone from Julius Caesar to Thomas Edison, just to figure out their secrets.
All right, this brings us to our very first key, and honestly, it's a bit of a curveball. It's actually about what you should stop doing. The number 1 rule for handling people is simple. Don't criticize, don't condemn, and don't complain.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It taps into a really deep human truth. Criticism, it feels like an attack. It wounds our pride, it crushes our sense of importance, and you better believe it sparks resentment that can last for years.
Get this. Carnegie looked at some of the most notorious criminals of his day, and almost none of them blamed themselves for anything. Take Two-Gun Crowley, a cop killer. In his own mind, he was a good guy with a kind heart. So if a dangerous criminal sees himself that way, what chance do you have of making your coworker or your kid see their mistake by criticizing them?
And this right here, this shows you exactly what criticism does. Theodore Roosevelt constantly attacked President Taft. Did it make Taft change his ways? Not a chance. It just made him dig in his heels, defend himself, and ultimately it tore their party apart. Criticism doesn't inspire change, it just builds walls.
So here's the bottom line for our first key. Criticism just doesn't work. Seriously, 99 times out of 100, it's completely futile. It makes people defensive, it creates resentment, and it hardly ever fixes the thing you wanted to fix in the first place.
Okay, so if criticizing is out, what's in? What are we supposed to do instead? Well, that leads us right into our second key. Instead of tearing people down, you have to build them up.
Carnegie says there's one deep, fundamental craving that drives every single one of us, and that is the desire to feel important. He believed this is what separates humans from animals. It's the same fire that pushed Lincoln to become a lawyer and Rockefeller to build entire universities.
And this desire is so incredibly powerful that it can lead people to do amazing things or absolutely terrible things. The only difference is how they choose to satisfy that craving. John Dillinger got his feeling of importance by being public enemy number 1. John D. Rockefeller got his by funding a hospital. Same drive, just a totally different path. Now look at this number, 314. That's how many enemies a student of Carnegie's had at his company. For years, the guy was a tyrant, just criticizing everyone. After learning this principle, he completely changed his tune and started looking for things to genuinely appreciate in his staff.
And here's the result, an incredible new spirit of loyalty and teamwork. He went from having 314 enemies to 314 friends. The people didn't change, his approach did. It's amazing, right?
So this is the core of the second key. People will absolutely starve for a feeling of importance. Think about it. We feed our families and our employees, but we often forget to give them the kind words and appreciation that nourish their self-worth. All right, now for the final key. This is the master technique. We've stopped criticizing, we've started appreciating, but how do we actually get someone to do something?
Carnegie has this perfect, simple analogy. He says, when you go fishing, you don't bait the hook with strawberries and cream just because you like it. Of course not. You bait the hook with what the fish likes. It's the exact same thing with people.
This story about the philosopher Emerson is just a perfect illustration. He and his son were pushing and pulling, trying to force a calf into the barn, and it just wasn't budging. But then their housemaid came along. She understood what the calf wanted. She put her finger in its mouth, and it followed her right in. You can't force action. You have to appeal to what the other party wants.
So here it is, the big secret. The only way on earth to influence anybody is to talk about what they want and then show them how to get it.
Stop talking about your wants. Instead, figure out their wants and make them eager to act.
So, how do we wrap all this up? Let's do a quick recap of these 3 secret keys to unlocking your influence. These really are the foundational principles for effectively handling people.
You see how these build on each other, right? First, you stop the negative. No more criticism. Second, you introduce the positive. Give honest, sincere appreciation. And finally, to get someone to act, you make it all about them. You bait the hook to suit the fish.
Look, the real power here isn't in just knowing this stuff, it's in actually using it. So I'll leave you with the challenge. Who is one person you're going to try one of these keys on today? Think about it and see what happens. Thanks for joining this explainer.